All right, welcome into a new era of First and Pod as we start our third season, but our first with our new co-host, P2, Patrick Peterson, in the flesh right now. The final minutes are counting down here in Bills, Dolphins. The game has turned into a blowout, and there's all kinds of great storylines that we need to react to, Pat, from this game. But first of all, people probably knew the cat was out of the bag when you joined us after the first week. It's so good to have you on board full time now, man. I was telling a friend when the news came out today, I've been so lucky in my career. I had a Hall of Fame co-host in Ben Roethlisberger. I had a Hall of Fame person co-host, James Conner. I had a Hall of Fame talker co-host in Ryan Clark. And I think I'm getting all three in you. You're all three rolled into one, Pat. So it's so awesome to finally officially have you on board, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing it this year. You've crossed over to the dark side. Now you're talking about football, which has got to be kind of weird. You've had a great podcast for years, but now you're talking ball every week.
Yeah, man, this is very, very exciting for me. Looking forward to the new chapter in my life. In the media world. So I'm excited to be joining you every Thursday and Sunday to talk some football and give like some real raw feedbacks and reactions.
Yeah, man. So I saw it on Twitter when the Tua hit happened, and you saw it live when he goes down. And after a healthy season, he makes it through last year. He puts up the big numbers. He leads the NFL in passing yards. He gets the Dolphins to the playoffs. They give him the $200 million contract. It's $53 million a year. And then this play happens, which I want to get your thoughts on as a former player, because most of the live analysis was preventable play, not a smart play, Tua go down, don't take that hit in that situation. So that was the initial response, Pat. And then almost immediately after that, there was the reaction of, what's this guy's football future? Because of his history of concussions. He had 3 2 years ago. It kept him out of the playoff game against Buffalo. And now people are looking at that play and they're thinking his football mortality might have flashed before our eyes. So, man, you had a great career. I'm just curious across the board here, that Tua hit, what your reaction is to it.
Yeah, it was tough to see because I was honestly literally talking with my neighbor. We was watching the game together, and I was just giving him praise on, how he's been, protecting himself, being able to finish a season out last year. And literally next thing you know, freaking 4 plays later, that happened, and it definitely was a preventable play, in my opinion. You have to also understand the situations that you already been in as a football player, as a quarterback, and understand the liberty that you have once you do slide. You put yourself at a less chance of getting a concussion or somebody even touching you. So in my in my opinion, I would have liked to see Tua slide in that situation versus going head first, already knowing the the history that you already have had with concussions.
Why do you think he doesn't in that situation? Is it the way he's wired as a player? Is it like something that you practice it, you tell him, but he can't get himself to do it in games, Pat? I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, Pony, I think that's a really, really tough question to answer because like you said, I'm sure coach has been talking to him about it, sliding and protecting yourself, make sure you're doing you taking all precautions of making sure that you can walk back to the huddle under your own power. Those situations are kind of tough, man, because you see running like quarterbacks who are mobile have problems sliding. So he may not even be comfortable sliding. Who knows, what the situation may be. But like I said, I'm more than positive that everyone in that Dolphins organization, in that Dolphins building, has been in his ear about sliding, getting down, being more careful when you are at liberty of getting hit by a defender. and not being a defensive player as well. So I'm sure those messages have been preached to him, and then unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's resonating with him very well.
Pat, I don't think we've ever talked about this. Are you somebody that personally has any concussion history? Is that something you've gone through in your long career?
I had one concussion in my career, and that was 2014 against the Philadelphia Eagles, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. I can't remember who the receiver was, but I know Dayon Buchanan, my own teammate, was the guy who basically caused a concussion. It was a friendly fire.
And look, I mean, we know that obviously there's so much heightened awareness on concussions now and so much more research to it. And that cuts both ways. Like, I think people are more sensitive to it, and knowing brain injuries are not an easy thing. You can't get a new brain. So on one hand, I look at it like, hey, you've got to make a decision about your football future because you've got to, your life and family and people to think about long term. But at the same time, the way that they're treated is much better. I'm in Pittsburgh, that, Pat. Like, Sidney Crosby's career almost 10 years ago now was completely looked like his whole hockey career was on the precipice of ending because of concussion problems. And he got through it, and it's been really a non-factor for him the last 8 or 9 years. So it looked like this was behind Tua. It's come back again, and who knows? I would think he's going to miss at least a few weeks, which puts the Dolphins now at 1-1 and in a bit of a perilous spot. Before the injury happened, though, Pat, a couple things about this game that I think we got to address. The first one is, Miami, we're going to look at the turnovers in this game, and a couple of them were not Tua's fault. The pick six that was just a clumsy play, and you tried to throw it out of bounds. You couldn't get it there. It's a pick six. It's just not a smart play.
Right.
But I think more than anything else, I'm impressed by Buffalo's defense in this game. Yeah. With all that they've lost, Milano's out for the year. Poyer's playing for Miami. Hyde is in LA. They've completely revamped that unit. Their front four is still pretty much intact. But what do you think allows for that defense to look this good against one of the juggernaut offenses in the NFL, given all of the turnover that it had in the offseason in the last couple of years under McDermott, Pat?
Controlling the line of scrimmage. You can just see from the jump, the Buffalo Bills control the line of scrimmage from a run standpoint, from a drop back pass standpoint. Situations when Tua had the opportunity to drop back and pass, they was just in his face, interrupting everything that the Dolphins was trying to do, far as offensively during that game. So it started up front, and then it gave the guys on the back end opportunity to eat. As we saw a couple early throws that caused into the receiver not even not even looking back for the ball, hitting him on the shoulder. Then like you just said, the ill-advised one, the pick six, that was just something, one of those ones that I know he wish he could have had back, or just put a little bit more power on it to throw it out of bounds. But yeah, just the defensive line, from.
Is it schematic or is it the talent they have up front?
I want to say the talent that they have up front. I think they really got some real dogs up front with Oliver, with Vaughn, with Russo, and the other guys that follow them. But having guys coming off the edge like the Buffalo Bills do, and you have someone in the interior that can avoid or put fear in the quarterback into stepping up, that's a recipe for success, because as you know, I know the first couple of years, the passing numbers have been down, league wide, but we all know that this league has become a passing league, and you need to have pass rushers that's able to disrupt the quarterback's timing, to get those guys off their first read, to help them, to help them hold the ball, that much longer, to help the rush get there.
James Cook had 3 touchdowns, but if you watch the game, Josh Allen turned in, an incredible performance. He was excellent. Some of the Houdini plays he made, some of the off-script plays he made, some of the ways he threaded the needle to obviously a whole new revamped set of wide receivers with Diggs in Houston and now Davis in Jacksonville. Pat, I don't know how active you are on social media, but I got ratioed during this game. Ratioed means everybody sees your opinion and then they like immediately disagree with it and try to make you out to be the worst person on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And so what I said was, and I want to hear your take on this. What I said was, and people thought this was a derogatory comment. I said, Josh Allen to me is a poor man's Ben Roethlisberger. I see some Ben Roethlisberger qualities, not Ben Roethlisberger at 38 years old,
right?
But Ben going back to his 20s in Josh. And Bills fans, like they, jump on tables in parking lots before games. That's what they were doing to me on social media. Like they were so angry over this. And I had to say, like, guys, I meant this as a compliment. Like I was not saying this as a way of attacking this person. He reminds me of a guy who I think is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like you've played against Josh Allen. You were in that memorable game with Minnesota a couple years ago.
Yep.
He was voted one of the most overrated players in the NFL by executives, which some people freaked out about too. You're laughing as I say that. So that means you probably disagree with that, Pat.
No, yes? No, I'm just laughing at, both statements, honestly. I mean, I don't think Josh is overrated. I just think, the media, I won't say give him a lot of credit. They just don't criticize him as much as they do other quarterbacks.
I agree.
So I think that's where a lot of people think that he's overrated, that they pump him up a lot more when they think he should receive criticism. So, and what was your first question again about about Ben Roethlisberger? I think that's a great comparison because both of those guys have big body frames. Both of those guys stand in the pocket strong. Not one guy can bring them down. Unbelievable arm strength. No matter what the score is, they're always going to have a chance to win the ball game. Gunslingers. Just tough, hard-nosed quarterbacks. And I don't see nothing wrong with that comparison at all.
Thank you. Now I'm going to tell people, get off my back, one of the great football players of the last 20 years.
And he's a two-time champion.
That's why I said poor man's. If I said equal to, Steelers fans would have wanted to beat the crap out of me. So, all right, let's now do what we're famous for on this podcast, and let's get to the games in week 2. The Sunday night primetime game, Pat, is the Bears and Texans. They're showcasing Caleb Williams in week 2 and CJ Stroud, who is, in my opinion, the guy who is destined for stardom and ready to make that big jump. You guys saw him last year and how good he is.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Caleb Williams, do you think he'll match or exceed CJ Stroud's rookie year? There is a ton of hype on Williams. Do you think he can match what Stroud did in Houston last year?
I mean, he has the potential to, with the weapons that he have and how good their defense is, almost have the same makeup, to be quite honest with you, with the last year's Houston team, now with this year's Chicago Bears team. But I don't see it happening. I don't see him exceeding or matching what CJ Stroud was able to do last year. To me, just CJ is so much more of a pro style quarterback. He's able to sit back in the pocket, dissect defenses. Not saying that Caleb can't do that. It's just saying, far as what I've seen him in college, that college is a lot of backyard football.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem like the offense that he came from was really, really prototypical on things that he's going to run on this level. So I feel like CJ had a head start in that regards of coming in pro ready like right now, and he was able to prove that. throughout his rookie campaign. So I think it's going to be tough. I think it is a possibility because it has potential. He has the potential to do that, but I just don't see it happening just because of how pro ready I feel that CJ Stroud was when he came into the league and being in the same position that Caleb Williams is in right now.
Spencer, when you get a second here, give us Stroud's rookie season touchdown to interception, because the interception rate was one of the best as a rookie. He actually led the NFL. He led the NFL in two things last year, Pat. Lowest interception rate and actually most passing yards per game, which is crazy that a rookie did that, and especially on a team where they weren't losing every game. It was 23 touchdowns to 5 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying.
Caleb Williams is going to throw 5 interceptions before we get to Columbus Day. Okay, I agree with what you said. Belichick said the same thing and got criticized for it on his NFL show. He said, I watched him at USC and in the preseason, everything's off schedule.
Yeah.
And that's not where you're going to make your living as an NFL quarterback. So he's already got wide receivers hurt. The thing is, and I've said this before, I think their defense is good enough where if he doesn't screw it up, I think they can win 9 or 10 games and make the playoffs. And we saw that against Tennessee. They had 2 pick sixes and a punt block for touchdown. Yeah, so we're going to start with an agreement here. I would be stunned if Williams came close to Stroud's production. Stroud has a calmness and a poise about him that I have not seen.
Been there before.
You know what, though, Pat? You say that, but these Ohio State quarterbacks had a reputation for putting up big numbers in college and it not translating to the pros.
But not CJ.
No, man. And I was wrong about him. I was not bullish before last year started. And then I watched your game against him in week 3, and I go, holy crap. This guy looks like he's 30 years old.
He can play.
Cowboys and Saints, 2 1-0 teams.
Yep.
Dallas got the Dak Prescott deal done and the CeeDee Lamb contract done. So those guys now have nothing to worry about. So you've been in NFL locker rooms. I've only been in there when they give the media access. It's not the same thing. Do you think getting those deals done affects the outlook for the season? So now that 2 marquee players aren't thinking about their contract, aren't thinking about their future, does that actually make things easier on the Cowboys this season? Take us inside the mind of an elite NFL player in a situation like this.
I think it does 100%. Just because now, like you said, now we have the security. Now there's nothing to be thinking about or wondering when the deal is going to happen or if my payday is ever going to come from the team, if you want to be there, from the team where I really want to be. So having that contract done, it definitely gives the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, clarity moving into the season. Now that the contract is done, now we don't have to worry about our payday. We have our payday. Now we can just focus on winning ball games and trying to win this ultimate goal, which is a Super Bowl that I know the world want to see the Cowboys do, that we haven't seen them done in a while.
How just the way you're motivated as a supreme athlete, when you would get on a 1-year deal or on the last year of your contract, how would that affect you?
For me, like I was always in the mindset of like I have to lock in to where I have to raise my price or prove what I am worth, if I'm trying to get forward or trying to get another deal, because that's at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. If you're on your last year of your deal or just signed a 1-year deal, it's all about what have you done for me lately. So it's almost like a prove it game all over again. So that, at least that's my mindset. I don't know how everybody else is going about it, but that's at least my mindset. But also at the end of the day, when I had the privilege to play the game, the money and all of that was good, but like I love the game. Like I love the process of the game. Like I love waking up 5:30 in the morning, going to get in the hot tub, getting in the sauna, getting the workout in, watching film before the guys, come into the building, getting into those team meeting rooms. Like those are things that you love and that you miss when you're away from the game. And those are moments that I never took for granted, because those moments are just so precious, so when you love the game, man, like all that other stuff is just extra to me. Like the paycheck, yep, it came direct deposit. Yeah, that's cool. Like, let's go do it again, because like my main goal was, like, I played the game to not only be the best, but to win a championship, to feel that confetti. Obviously, I wasn't able to fulfill that goal, but that was my drive each and
Yeah.
every day that I woke up to walk into whatever team I was playing for.
Yeah, I'm not a morning person at all. So that whole waking up at 5:30 in the morning thing, Pat, would not have gone great with me. I can do like the 5 a.m. if I'm still up from the night before, but not 5 a.m. alarm going off. Bengals and Chiefs. So Cincinnati has the worst loss of the opening weekend because they're the biggest favorite. They get beat at home by New England. Chase doesn't get a deal done. Burrow went out last year with this wrist injury, and now there's questions about it again. He's saying he's fine. He's saying he's better. Is there reason to be worried about the Bengals? Not only the health of Burrow, but now Chase is hacked off. Hawkinson didn't get a deal either. So this is like the inverse of what we just talked about, really, with the Cowboys. It's such a big game for them. What I'll say about it is two things, and then I'll get your reaction. The first one is, for me, they've earned the benefit of the doubt because they've gotten off to these slow starts with Burrow, and they've been able to overcome them. Now, maybe the argument against that is you keep doing that, eventually it's going to come back to bite you. But I do give Burrow and this team the benefit of the doubt. So that's the first one. And then the second thing is, I just feel like the Chiefs bring out the best in them. Like, I fully think after watching them struggle last week, I think that they'll go there and play a great spirited game. Even with the Chiefs having extra time because they played the Thursday, they're not intimidated by the Chiefs whatsoever. Some teams are beat the second they come out of the tunnel there, like Miami in the playoff game. And I actually think that this raises the level of play from the Bengals. I think they get up from games like this. And if we talk Sunday night and they've gotten blown out, Pat, I will be absolutely stunned by that. You can rub it back in my face. But I think they'll play a very good game there, and I'm not worried about them yet.
I think I'm worried about them.
Okay.
And here's why. To the point that we just talked about not too long ago, about the contract situation. Jamar Chase is not happy, so now he's coming into the building not really wanting to be there every single day. So now he's not even locked in, I won't even say locked into the game plan, but we don't have all of Jamar Chase right now because he's unhappy with his contract. So how can he be 100% focused on what we got going on the football field when we all know everybody's trying to get paid? That's 9 out of 10. That's like on everybody's, top of their list to get to that second contract. That's the main objective especially when you're a first rounder. So, and Bengals, like you said, Bengals are notorious slow starters. They've been starting slow over the last 3 years, but I think this is the year that it catches up with them because I believe in I'm really concerned with their defense. I don't really think they have enough for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially not right now. I just think that loss last week was a demoralizing loss for that Cincinnati Bengals team. So we'll see how they bounce back from it. But like you said, they have been known to start the season off slow. But I do believe that this is a season that it has caught up with them.
Well, then I'll make a deal with you. When the Bengals have a fourth quarter lead, because I think they will in this game, I will send you the picture of Joe Shiesty smoking that cigar with his legs crossed after LSU won the national championship. How quickly you forget that your guy at your alma mater.
Hey, no, Joe Shiesty is my guy too. But I'm telling you, man, these contract situations, when guys do, I really never really understand why teams don't pay guys before the season starts. I really don't understand that.
Especially when the price is only going to go up.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you see what the price is now with the Ayuk deal and the Monrod deal and the Jefferson deal. if you wait until after the season with the salary cap going up, it's only going to cost you probably an extra like $50 million. It's bizarre to me that they don't get that part of it. That's the Bengals' way of doing things, though. They're stuck in the 1980s, apparently. The Monday night game is the Falcons and Eagles. So I watched the Falcons game now back twice because they played the Steelers, Pat. And something very odd happened here with Kirk Cousins. He did not do play action one time. He was barely under center. They had him in the pistol the entire game. All of the film nerds and stat nerds on social media have said in his entire career with Washington and Minnesota, they've never seen him used this way. It was completely fish out of water for a guy coming back from an Achilles injury. You played with Kirk. I just wonder why, if they had to use him in such a different way, if he's not like fully the guy that they maybe expect him to be a month or 2 months from now. You drafted Penix in the first round. Why not just start him and have Kirk on the IR for the first 4 or 5 weeks until he's ready to be 100% Kirk Cousins? Because the Kirk Cousins I watched against the Steelers, he couldn't move, Pat. Like, he looked like he knew the pass rush was coming and was effed and was trying to get rid of the ball, and it led to bad turnovers and bad plays. And if this is the Kirk Cousins that they expected because of the Achilles thing, why not give him more time to get ready? Because you actually have a good plan B there in Atlanta. So I was perplexed by that, and it begs the question about just how healthy he is right now after that quick turnaround from his Achilles injury.
Yeah, I didn't think Kirk looked not healthy. I thought he looked solid in the pocket, but at the end of the day, Kirk never could move in the pocket. Kirk could never really get away from anyone unless he was stepping up in the field.
Sure.
Was wide
Yeah,
open.
he's not Lamar Jackson here. I get it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna tell you why he did not play action, because he got Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt, and I don't want to give well, people watch film, but the Pittsburgh Steelers got a secret to anybody who want to run play action. They're just gonna kill it dead in the backfield. And no teams, when they play the Pittsburgh Steelers, want to start 2nd and 17, 2nd and 18. That's just giving the opportunity for those pit bulls to go hunt in those two names I just named earlier. So that's why, and that's probably Kirk Cousins' best, off rhythm play, the play action, the boots.
Yeah. So you're saying it was just a bad matchup for him, bottom line.
Yeah, it was a bad matchup for him, bottom line. Just because what the Pittsburgh Steelers do very well, and that's the one thing they love to do, taking away play actions and boots. If you ever go back and look, I guarantee you, Pittsburgh Steelers, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, even going back to James Ferrier, not James Ferrier,
James Harrison,
Lamar Woodley. Anytime a quarterback play action the ball, where they were on the ground, they just have to, and they've been running the same defense for centuries. So
yes, they have.
So they have the recipe for play action quarterbacks, and that's why you don't see many teams running play action.
Jets and Titans, same thing. Aaron Rodgers is coming back from the same injury, and he's going back to his Green Bay bag of cliche saying, hey, we got to relax again, relaxation after what happened in San Francisco. I actually happen to agree with him. I mean, it was a horrible showing by their defense. They gave up scores on 8 straight drives. McCaffrey didn't play, and Mason had a great game, but we've seen other running backs who no one's ever heard of thrive in the Shanahan system. It was only 167 passing yards from Aaron Rodgers. I will take his word for it. He's allowed, you're a golfer. He gets a mulligan in San Francisco. He better hit a 290 or 300 yard drive dead center against Tennessee on Sunday. Pat, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I will have to agree with you on that one, Pony. He needs to knock this one out of the park for sure. But they were just outmatched week 1 against San Francisco. They were just better than them top to bottom, in my opinion. Just an overall team. I just feel like they were just overmatched and overpowered in that game, and it showed as the game continued to wear on. But I definitely think the Jets are in a good position. You know, for throughout the rest of the season. I know it was a little scary seeing the team get beat up the way they did out there in the Bay Area, but I must say that they have a really really good quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that understands when the team needs to play their best at the right time, and they have a really really good team. Their defense is loaded. They have a Wilson is going to be a problem. I'm sorry, Garrett Wilson is going to be a problem here in the future. So they got weapons. Now it's just going to be all about those guys, putting it all together and going out there winning some ball games.
Colts are in Green Bay to play the Packers. Both of these teams are 0-1, but Green Bay is in a much worse situation because of what happened to Jordan Love, Pat, at the end of the game in Brazil, which again, with like the horrible field there and the footing for guys and dudes getting hurt. I don't know. I don't really think his injury was related to the turf there, but it's just mind-boggling that in a $20 billion a year industry, we can't get good playing surfaces for you guys. It just really pisses me off, actually.
Yeah.
So he's out, and we're going to see Malik Willis here, who I don't think has ever thrown for more than 100 yards in a game. There's Ryan Tannehill rumors. They don't really have anybody else in the system right now who's a plan B. It's a competitive division with Detroit. Minnesota's 1-0. Chicago's 1-0. They were the only team that lost. But I'm going to say something that might surprise you. I actually trust LaFleur enough as an offensive coach to weather the storm here. He's got a mobile quarterback. It's not the same way as Love would do it and draw it up. Indianapolis just got shredded on the ground by Joe Mixon last week, where he had a career high in carries and over 150 yards. I think there are offensive coaches, Pat, like an Andy Reid or Sean McVay, who just find ways to get the Kyle Shanahan to get the most out of their players. You've played against LaFleur's offenses before in Minnesota. Am I wrong to think that the system is going to help a backup quarterback, or do you think they're really going to miss Jordan Love and this is going to cost them a playoff spot, him missing the next 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think it's going to cost them.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really do. Just because now you're going to be so limited to the players that you want to call. Now you have to be a little bit more cautious on the plays you want to call, because you may not have the same trust that you had in Malik that you had in Jordan.
There can't be. He got there 2 weeks ago. He just learned the offense.
So that's what I'm saying. And it will never get there, because there's some stuff that the communication, some checks that he, going to have to do throughout, the process throughout that offense. So it's only so much that you're going to be able to do with a quarterback who got there 2 weeks. And it's only going to be so much if there's going to be the guy moving forward for the next 5 weeks that you can do with him moving forward. It may be a couple of wrinkles that you're going to be able to add in there, but it's still not going to be the offense that you wanted to run with Jordan Love. So I think it's going to be tough for him to make a playoff spot, especially if Jordan Love is out for these, next 4 to 5 weeks. Like you said, Detroit is probably the most popular team to win that division as of right now. Minnesota starting off really good, 1-0. They're going to be tough down the stretch. Then you got this young, feisty Bears team right now. So I think they may be on the outside looking in if they can't get a veteran quarterback that they feel can run the offense.
One quick thing on the Colts. People are going to just hound me with this. Brents went out with an injury. So that means every time a corner goes out, that people are going to say, hey, ask Pat, did he get a call from the Colts? Is he willing to play? That's going to happen, man. I just want to warn you.
Oh, yeah, I know that's going to
happen. 49ers and Vikings. So you just said you think that with Willis, they're in pretty deep trouble, having to weather the storm and make do without Love. Christian McCaffrey, I thought, should have been the NFL MVP last year. I thought Lamar Jackson was the best player on the best team, but he only threw 24 touchdown passes. I thought overall McCaffrey was actually the best offensive player and the best player period in the NFL last season. He's now out, but we watched Jordan Mason, an undrafted free agent, go for $160 against a very good Jets defense. So I'll pretty much ask you the same question, Pat. Like, do you expect San Francisco to skip a beat without McCaffrey if he's out with this calf injury?
Nope, because they proved that Monday night against the Jets. And a crazy stat that who broadcast Monday night games?
That is now Troy Aikman and Joe Buck.
Yeah, so Joe said a very, very interesting stat. He said that with that running back, who I can't remember the running back's name. Jordan Mason, with that touchdown, he became the 40th undrafted running back to score under Kyle Shanahan offense since arriving in San Francisco. You know how crazy that is?
That can't be right. Seriously?
Look it up. I'm telling you, I thought I misheard it as well. He said that's the 40th touchdown.
That's got to be like maybe his 40th.
Please look it up.
Well, if that's true, then that is a test. I mean, look, hey, Pat, his dad had the same thing in Denver where he would have Mike Anderson.
It's true.
Well, you know what, though? It makes sense, though, because if you think about it, like,
crazy.
It's not 40 different players. It's adding up each undrafted guy's touchdown, and Mostert had a bunch there, and he's an undrafted guy. So you know what? That does make sense. But that is a mind-boggling number since 2017.
Yeah, that's nuts. But, yeah, I don't think they'll skip a beat because they showed it. They showed it Monday night, and that offense really, really leaned on their offensive line. And they showed that.
But Pat, think about what you're. And I look. I don't disagree with you. I mean, I'm going to defer to you on a lot of stuff because I just respect your football acumen so much. But it's just it's crazy to me because people say Purdy, it's the system, but everyone acknowledges McCaffrey's great. Now you're saying the same thing. It's the system. Like, what the hell makes Shanahan's system so great where they're just all interchangeable parts, man?
Because, man, the eye candy he's able to do, these are just not generic running plays. These are you got so many moving parts, like so many things have to be accounted for so perfect at that given time to be able to stop them. And that's putting so much pressure on the defense. And I mean, you can ask a number of guys when you're preparing for a San Francisco team. You know you're going to get a bunch of motions. You know you're going to get post-snap motions. You know you're going to get pre-snap motions. We know we're going to get multiple offensive lineman movement. We know we're going to have Trent Williams pulling from the left side all the way to kick out a corner. You know, so they do so many, the spacing, like the way they're able to space out their guys. I mean, it's such a beautiful art to see the way he's able to put his guys in position time after time after time again. And what's different, though, I will say this: he used McCaffrey way different than any of those other running backs. Like he's in the passing game. Christian is lining up at slot. Christian's lining up at the X receiver sometimes. So I will say it's a system, but the running style of the running scheme within the system is what make it special. Because you got guys who's running downhill, and most running backs, you just find great running backs that can run the ball downhill and find the holes. But the way he's able to set the lanes up for his running backs is remarkable.
Well, that week 1 game for you guys last year, I had so much anxiety for it. I actually threw up during that game. Okay, I just want to let you know that. I think I've told other people that, but now you know that 49ers Steelers game week 1 actually made me puke, which I'm embarrassed to admit, but it is true. Raiders and Ravens. Lamar Jackson sore from the game against the Chiefs, missed some practice time this week. They're a big favorite against the Raiders. But here's the thing about this whole story. It was a big talking point during the opening game, how much weight Lamar Jackson lost, that he is now a smaller guy. and everyone was remarking Chris Collinsworth, he's moving faster, he's moving better, but that could make him less durable. And so their offense, he accounted for almost 400 yards, 395, Pat. Like, I think I saw a lot more of the Lamar Jackson from his first MVP season, but 2 out of the last 3 years, he hasn't been available at the end of the year because of injury. So my point is, you look great, but that's a surefire way to win the battle and lose the war. Can they get away with running Lamar Jackson 15 times a game and having him last the duration of the NFL season? I don't think so. What's your take?
No. I mean, it's just not going to happen, especially with him losing the weight that he lost. I think if they are going to run him 15 times, they have to run him outside the tackles. It can't be in between the tackles, the quarterback draws. I mean, hell, that's what you brought Derrick Henry in there for, to run in between the tackles. So I don't think it's sustainable for him to do this game in and game out unless he's running outside the tackles, getting out of bounds, not getting touched, not lowering his shoulder, not taking those unnecessary hits, because it was a couple times on the sideline where he could have just easily ran out of bounds. We all know we can't touch the quarterback anyway. Run on out of bounds and not be touched, but yet he wanna put his macho man pants on and lower his shoulder, which is unnecessary as the quarterback, because you're taking an unnecessary hit. You're already at liberty of getting smacked upside your head every time you drop back for a pass. Now you want to put yourself at a much bigger risk on trying to deliver a blow. That just don't make sense to me. And I feel like if he's going to continue to do that, he won't last a 17-week season.
Two double game action here. Seahawks, Patriots, Lions, and Bucks. So 4 teams, all 4 of them 1-0, all 4 of them looking to get to 2-0. So from this group of 4 teams, Seahawks, Patriots, a rematch of that Super Bowl 10 years ago, in a rematch of the playoff game last year. Which team needs the 2-0 start the most?
Which team needs the 2-0 start the most? I'll go with the Detroit Lions, just because they're favorite. They're one of the top 2 teams right now in the NFC. Not saying that this is a game that that they should win, or that is a cakewalk, but this is a playoff caliber team. This is a statement type of game. And whether they're playing in Tampa or they're playing in Detroit.
It's in Detroit.
Yeah, so this is a statement type of game to really show the NFC that you're standing on business. So I think for the Detroit Lions, I think it's very, very important for them to start the season off 2-0.
That's probably the right answer, because they have a higher standard. They're trying to match San Francisco when they're trying to get home field in the first round bye and all that. And it's the second straight home game. So I think that's probably it's a tough one for me to poke any holes in, Pat. The reason why, though, I'm going to say Seattle is because the odds of them having a better record than San Francisco are slim. So because of that, they're playing for one of the 3 wild card spots.
Right.
And I think they, it's a new coach. So in that respect, like, it's not like the expectations there are sky high. But with Geno Smith, if they're going to make the playoffs, and I think that should be the expectation there, you've already beaten Denver at home. Go beat New England, who only won a game because of turnovers and sloppy play by Cincinnati. And the stats are with you. You start 2-0, there's a very good chance you make the playoffs. I know Seahawks fans want more, but as long as Geno Smith's their quarterback, I think being a good team, not a great team, is probably what you should expect from them. And you beat New England, you're on track to be a team that makes the playoffs and then takes your chances from there. So I'll go with them as a slight favorite in New England on Sunday. All right, my team, the Steelers, in Denver to play the Broncos. It looks like the Russell Wilson Bowl is off. He's got this calf injury, Pat. He's highly unlikely to play. This is a question I'm actually stealing from ESPN.
Okay. Can
he lose his job before playing a game? Can he lose his job because of injury? Justin Fields is younger. I know Mike Tomlin loves Justin Fields and the athleticism and the mobile quarterback, dual threat aspect to his game. He played a turnover-free game in Atlanta.
Yep.
He made plays. They were 7 of 13 on third down. He had a great throw to Pickens before the half that set up a field goal, which gave him points. He iced the game at the end with a run. I think it's in the Steelers' best long-term future for Justin Fields to be their quarterback because he's 24. So what do you think? I mean, do you believe that as soon as Russell Wilson gets a clean bill of health, he automatically goes in as their starting quarterback regardless of what Fields does?
I think it depends on what Justin do over the next 2 weeks. I believe if Justin goes 3-0, I think coach give him the keys until he messes it up, in my opinion, because now he has the hot hand. Russ didn't have the best of preseasons, so now he's missing 3 more weeks of football. And now you got the younger Justin Fields playing, mistake-free football if he's able to keep this up. Mistake-free football is keeping us in the ball game. Defense playing lights out. He's not turning the ball over, making good decisions. The running game is, really, really solid. Pittsburgh-style football. So why would we want to change that up? That's just my opinion. I
wouldn't, but my thing is it's much easier to tell Kenny Pickett, who hasn't won a Super Bowl and isn't headed to the Hall of Fame, hey, man, we're going to go with Mason Rudolph. Yeah. How do you tell the guy you gave basically a promise to, we're signing you because you're our starting quarterback? He gets hurt because of the way you worked him out in training camp. And now you're going to tell him, hey, you're 100% healthy. Our trainers say you can play, but we're not going to play you. Hey, people have said things about Russ's personality. I just can't fathom that would sit well with him, Pat. I just can't imagine he would be cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't either. But just being around there last year, I'm telling you, if the young fella go 3-0, mark my word, he will be the starter. He will be named the starter the rest of that season.
Speaking of where you've been, Rams and Cardinals, this Kyler Murray quote, okay, like I hate just taking quotes and blowing them out of proportion, but like, how do you come out of a game and say, it's not my job to get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr.? You're the quarterback, dude.
So when I saw the rundown, did he say this after the game? Like this?
He still had his pads on and stuff, so I can't imagine it was said on Wednesday, Pat.
So can you give me the full quote one more time? Like, paint it for me, Pony, because I just need to make sure that I'm seeing this right. Paint it for me, please.
I am pulling it up, and if Spencer wants to do that too to beat me to it here, he can. But you're right. It is important that we don't give you something and then mislead you with a quote that's not entirely accurate here. Here's what he said.
Okay.
As a quarterback, obviously you're going through your reads. Sometimes the ball goes to him, but that's not my job.
So he said a lot of things going on, but as a quarterback, it's not my job. Well, I'm with you, Pony. Who, at the end of the day, there's at least 3 people that's going to touch the football: the center, the quarterback, the running back, or the receiver that the quarterback is throwing the ball to. I don't know how else the receiver is going to get the football. He can't throw it to himself. But this just goes back to, man, what I said a couple of years ago, that Kyler have to do a better job of just having accountability, man. Just being like, all right, man, as a quarterback, like you don't supposed to say that first and foremost. But as a quarterback, like, man, I got to do better. I got to be better on that. Like, he was wide open. Even if he didn't watch the film, if the reporter's coming to me and saying, blah, blah, Marvin was wide open a couple of times. My bad. I didn't see him on that play. So as a quarterback, I got to do a better job of making sure I'm going through my reads or, seeing the guys who's open, this, that, and the other. But yet he says it's not my job to get him the football.
I used to do a show with Roethlisberger. I mentioned that to you. And the funniest thing about Ben was, if the Steelers lost a game 45-42, and he threw 4 touchdowns and had 500 yards. In those games, he would say, I need to do better. I need to play better. I did not do my job. And it was very funny that if he had a great individual game, but they lost, he would make those comments.
Mhm.
But if they lost like 17-14, he would start to go and come up with other reasons why they lost. And I always thought that was like the darndest thing about him. And I can say that because I don't have like the best relationship with Ben now, but I did for a long time. And we used to always joke about that. Like, if he actually didn't play a good game, he wouldn't say that. But if he did and they lost, he would. So we're talking about alpha males who have big egos. And a lot of them, Pat, don't like criticism and are very sensitive to it and are aware of it and want to deflect it and pass the buck on to other people. So,
hey, that's crazy, man. That's just this young generation in general. They hate being criticized. They don't want to be taught anything. It's like, I got it. I know this. I know that. I've been here before when you haven't. But that's the way this world turned nowadays.
Giants Commanders, the Giants fans heckled Daniel Jones after his first game. He was leaving with his family, which really isn't cool, and he was getting crap from Giants fans. And by the way, they were at home. They weren't on the road. They lost 28-6 to the Vikings. The question is he cooked? I mean, everywhere it's like, this guy got this money after the Vikings playoff game that you were a part of. And it's like this guy's career is now, ever since then, all downhill. The Dable thing with him, I get it. They played a weaker schedule. They were outscored. They won just enough games. It wasn't really a great year, but he was mobile. He made plays with his legs. I mean, he was not a bad quarterback 2 years ago. Last year, before he tore his ACL, the bottom just completely fell out. It's his first game back from a major knee injury. Their line, actually, I didn't think played that bad, having watched the game back. Pat, am I nuts for saying I think he's going to play a better game for sure against Washington? We know that the Giants have already given up. You're already rolling your eyes. The Giants have already admitted that they've given up on him. They tried on the Hard Knock show to trade for Drake May and Jaden Daniels, so they're not even sold on him.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm the last of the Mohicans here. I don't think the guy is completely shot. I expect him to rebound and be at least an average quarterback this year. Are you seeing different things on tape?
What's the name of that song? Please don't shoot me down. Shot, man. He shot.
Yeah.
He shot down, man. Daniel just takes too long to process plays, man. He just hold the ball entirely way too long when he's dropped back and then when he's taking the drop back to try to deliver a pass down the field. It's just almost like he sees a deer in headlights. It's like he just seems confused every time he gets into a passing situation. He's very athletic. He has a very, very big arm, but he don't know what to do with it.
Ugh. Yeah, that's a tough one for me to argue. I'm going to need him to play better against Washington, and then say I told you so. Look at what the stats say. Final thoughts here: Chargers, Panthers, Browns, Jaguars. Any takes on either one of these games? I'll just say for Deshaun Watson, man, now that this new allegation is out, you played a horrible game against Cleveland. You were sacked 6 times. You got your butt kicked. Now Browns fans are like hoping that there's a way to get out of this contract. Of all the human beings playing in the NFL this weekend, in my opinion, he needs a good game and he needs to win more than anybody else, Pat.
I agree. He needs to win more than anybody else this week, man. I know he had a tough week last week. Someone in his family passed, and now you got more allegations coming about, charges against him. Then Sunday evening happened. Like you said, sacked 6 times, threw a couple interceptions, fumbled a couple times. Just was not a good outing. It just seemed like Deshaun have a black cloud just hovering over him right now. But nothing like a win will make you feel a whole lot better. So he needs to come out and have a stellar performance. We know they have a stellar defense, so the defense is going to have to play a little bit better than they did last week to kind of help them out. Offensive line is going to have to block for him a little bit better so he can have time to deliver the ball down the field. But yes, I'm looking forward to Sean to get a win against the Jacksonville, against a quality team in the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Pat, great maiden voyage. We'll do it again after Texans and Bears on Sunday night. Listen and subscribe to First and Pod. We're on the Odyssey app, but you can get us anywhere you get podcasts, Apple, iTunes, all the places where you subscribe. Just punch in 1ST and Pod, and you'll find us. We do every game every week after Thursday Night Football and after Sunday Night Football. And now we've got an NFL legend as a co-host, and he's got no shortage of opinions. Pat, thanks so much for doing it, and we'll talk again Sunday night, okay?
All right, Pony. See you, baby.